Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice in making informed choices about your retirement plan. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, quickly warming downtown Olivet, Missouri. I am a 40-plus year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined this week and every single week, when they're not on vacation, by my great crew, my oldest daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who also is a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager, and Robert Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one that they can count on, so they can do all the things they like to do during retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, with Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Everybody, good morning in Radio Land. Thanks so much for taking your time and tuning in with us this morning. We have a lot of fun things to discuss, but what's more important is what's on your mind. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877, or send us a text, 84126 on the text line. And just so and another reminder is that all of our clients are folks like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire, or they're already retired. And as Aaron mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for them so they can have a fun and hopefully financially successful retirement.
That's right, and there are a few other ways that you can keep in touch with us during the week. Log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click on the Contact Us section where you can request a financial coaching session, a Medicare coaching session, or both. Or if you are in the market for an open enrollment review, you can also request that there through our Contact Us button. On the lower left-hand side of the screen, a pop-up box appears that says sign up for our monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner, and not only do we email it to you every single week, we do keep it archived on the website so you can go back and take a look at previous newsletters. And today is, I guess, the very last day of September, huh?
It is, and it's the last day of the Coach's Corner September 2023 newsletter. And there's some great articles there you're definitely going to want to peruse. The first one being employee access to Roth 401k plans is on the rise. It just shows the explosive growth over the last 10 years of a really, really great savings vehicle for retirement, the Roth 401k plans. Our second article is All Eyes on the Earning Picture. We're just wrapping up earnings season in the stock market, and this is a great article that'll show you how to measure the performance of your favorite companies. And our third article is the 4 key objectives of a sound retirement plan, whether it's earning a reasonable rate of return, managing risk of loss, maintaining a sustainable and predictable income, and reducing the impact of taxes on retirement income. And our last article, a personal favorite, is time to bulk up your emergency fund. It's never a bad time to assess where your emergency fund is. Does it need to be replenished? Have you had any unforeseen incidents that happened over the past year? If not, this could be a good time to keep adding to that, because you never know when it's going to rain, and your rainy day fund can always use a bulking up. So that's a great article you're definitely going to want to check out.
We call that the Coach's Corner. You can find it by logging on to our website, jblfinancial.com, or if you have already subscribed, you will find it tomorrow morning in your email, brand new October 1st newsletter.
That's right, and as Aaron mentioned, we do keep those archived for your printing, viewing, or downloading convenience, which is great. Again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And while we're waiting for your calls and texts, I thought it would be a nice idea today for us to discuss and really review a coaching session that Aaron and Rob had earlier this week. I think this is a great one because for a couple reasons. Number one is it's about the regular folks, a pair of folks that happen to work for a large utility here in the company. They weren't presidents of the company. They weren't vice presidents. One was a person that got up on the polls and got us our electricity back. The other one was an administrative person, husband and wife, and they've been career employees at this particular firm, which isn't unusual. And like anything else, they've been listeners for a long period of time and decided to say, hey, I want to come in and have a coaching session to make sure that we're on track, to meet our goals when we want to retire, and to help make some decisions, because we talk about investment decisions, really, not investments as much, but financial decisions that have to be made. Tax decisions have to be made over the time period. And I thought this was a great one, and it covers so many topics that we know we're going to keep your interest. So,
I completely agree.
So let's talk about, I'm going to let you guys talk a little bit about Barbie and Ken.
Before we get into Barbie and Ken, we have a few text messages. Do we want to hit those first?
Let's do it.
Sure. First texter writes, my former employer is no longer contributing to my health care plan except for a United Healthcare group plan. The plan looks pretty good and could provide significant savings. I take a Tier 5 drugs, which the new plan covers. My question is that if for some reason I am denied coverage for this drug, will I be able to switch back to Aetna during the January to March enrollment period?
Here's the cool news. You can actually switch back. So let me put some context. It sounds like our texter is already on Medicare using an Aetna Medicare Advantage plan. If the texter decides to go back to his company healthcare plan or her company healthcare plan, but then discovers that unfortunately this Tier 5 drug that would make it less expensive on the new employer plan is not available to them, Medicare allows for voluntary disenrollment from group health insurance at any point during the year. So most likely you will have already determined by January or February if your employer-based plan is going to cover your prescription, so you'll be able to switch back. However, the January through March enrollment period is not for individuals joining Medicare. It's actually for it's called open enrollment, which can be confusing because we are always calling October 15th through December 7th open enrollment. That's actually your annual enrollment period. So for everyone that's on Medicare, you get to make switches to Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans, your supplement, if you want to try out Medicare Advantage. Open enrollment, which happens January through March, is exclusively for individuals that are on Medicare Advantage that didn't take advantage of their annual enrollment period and want to make a change from one Medicare Advantage plan to the other. For any individual that is not on Medicare using a Medicare Advantage plan, maybe you have A and B like the texter, and now you're using a group plan to supplement your Medicare benefits instead of a Medicare-based policy, you have voluntary dismissment at any point during the year to switch back to your Medicare Advantage plan if you would like. Now, the supplements are different. You'll want, if you are using a Aetna supplement, You'll want to check with Aetna specifically about your plan if you're able to rejoin after you leave without a premium increase, which usually, unfortunately, is not the case.
That was a good one.
It was a great one.
What's our second text question?
That was it for the moment. It was just a long one.
Yeah, that was
We got to get back to Ken and Barbie.
Ken and Barbie.
So let's talk a little bit about Ken and Barbie. And like Jeff said, they both work for a local electricity provider that I'm sure everyone is familiar with. Ken is 63. His wife is 57. They have two lovely daughters that attend a local university. And they were both hoping to retire at the end of this year or the beginning of next. And Ken and Barbie also have some pension elections to make. Do they take the lump sum? Do they take the pension option? You know, they've heard us on the radio, and they wanted to get our advice as to how their retirement math stacks up. And, you know, as always, the first thing we wanted to know was how much were they spending, plus what were their fixed income sources when all the faucets are turned on, and we wanted to get a good look at what their asset picture looked like.
That's a great point. So everything always starts with, first of all, of course, we want to know what is most pressing to people that come in to visit with us, what's top of mind to them. Ken and Barbie's first thought were they were offered this pension versus a lump sum option, and they hadn't been offered the lump sum in the past, so that's really what compelled them initially to come in and see us. But in order to give some informed advice about those options, we have to take it all the way to the end point, which is first we have to figure out the math. How much are you spending every month in order to make your life work? And then once we know, let's set the pensions to the side for just a moment and take a look at, because Ken and Barbie were also eligible for Social Security benefits, what does it look like when both Social Security benefits are on? We have a little bit of a gap in age, but for Ken and Barbie about 5 years, which isn't necessarily abnormal. But during our conversation, we determined that they need about $6,000 a month after taxes in order to make their life work.
Babe, I was going to ask you, did they bring a spreadsheet with them to tell you what the expenses were, or were they folks where you said, hey, how much you're bringing home and how much is your bank account increase at the end of the year, so we kind of backdoor into it?
So they brought along a spreadsheet with them, which is always excellent because we get the opportunity not only to take a look at where your resources are being allocated, but, there, in many cases, we see people that are planners in their own right, and they are plugging in numbers to accommodate for healthcare expenses, to account for taxes in retirement, and things like that. So we can help chisel the math down a little bit when we see how they've broken things down. Or it's just as simple, like you mentioned, Dad, as to say if your spending fluctuates throughout the year, maybe you might be someone that works on even commission potentially. We can also really determine what are you spending every month by figuring out at one point during the year, has your bank account grown, diminished, or stayed the same year over year, or we can even look on a month-to-month basis. So we have a lot of options to getting to this number, but Ken and Barbie were ready to go. They had a nice spreadsheet that laid out, now it didn't, I've seen, and this often comes from our engineering clients, where they'll break it all the way down to what it costs to get a haircut.
I love those. No, that's great when they add in like all the little peripheral expenses that they go through, because it really shows that they're really, really thinking about, what am I actually spending? Like, I'm not trying to, fudge it here. I really want to get down to, the nickels and dimes of what actually is coming in and going out. Because, the more information we have, the more we can, drill down into what is actually necessary to fund their life.
I agree with that, but if spreadsheets intimidate you, that's not a stumbling block for us to get you to retirement, because I'm not necessarily a fan of the spreadsheet for my own personal finances. But anyway.
I just like something I can refer to. It could be on a cocktail napkin. I mean, as long as there's something.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that we're looking very carefully at when we're reviewing these spreadsheets, this information, is whether the clients have included not just living expenses, but fun and what we call lifestyle expenses. Have they put aside and really budgeted for, if you want to use the word budget, or allocated money for trips or for golfing, gambling, grandkids, et cetera, the fun stuff in life? Because we know you're spending money for those things. So that really gives us a chance to have an overall picture. And from what I understand, Ken and Barbie did a good job on that.
They did an excellent job, and I would even say, as we were discussing different line items on their spreadsheet, we even all noted as a group that they had made one line item essentially for fun, food, and entertainment. And Barbie mentioned, since she was the one that did the spreadsheet for us, that that might be a little bit high, but I could appreciate that because it builds in a nice buffer, and there always is a transition period when people retire from when they are receiving monthly paychecks, just living their lives, to when they get to retirement, and we really hone in on that monthly number. I would say that a good percentage of the time we get that number right and people are receiving the income that they need to continue their lifestyle. But in some cases we find that, for example, in Ken and Barbie's case, if they overestimate their expenses a little bit, if they start to see that build up in their savings account, then maybe that's an opportunity during one of our subsequent coaching sessions to turn the temperature back a little bit and send less money every month. No reason to pay taxes on money you're not consuming. Even if your savings or your high-yielding savings account is earning a nice amount of interest, it's still less than the taxes you paid to get the money out.
Good point, honey.
So if we go back to the very beginning, Ken and Barbie, how much are they spending every month? About $6,000.
And we know we have to scale that up for taxes and retirement, so that would be $7,200 a month they would need.
So when Ken reaches 63, when Ken retires, he is already 63 years old. So his Social Security benefit at retirement is going to be about $1,700 a month. Barbie, we know she's a few years away from that, and we're estimating her benefit to be at about $1,500 a month when she gets to 62 years old.
So if we combine those two numbers, we're left with $3,200 a month. They need $7,200 a month. So we have a nice deficit of about $4,000 a month, or $48,000 a year.
So we know that if we had a lump sum of capital and we wanted to live off of the earnings and the interest of that capital, not eat away at the principal, we'd want to maintain about a 4% rate of withdrawal over the long term, which means we need about $1.2 million in order to make that work.
Good to know. I mean, that's good to know. And I was also going to say, of that 6,000 number, did they still have a mortgage?
They did. But the great news about their mortgage is it was set to self-liquidate within the next couple of years. It was a $1,500 payment, and they owed roughly about $35,000 on it. So 2, maybe 3 years, but we could pay that off early, too, to help bring down their spending number. We could go either way.
Well, I thought I was curious here, and I know that you guys are going to get into this, is that, you know, when we look at this, when we look at this initially, we're going $1.2 million. That's a fair amount of capital that we need. But if they're in a situation where they have an opportunity to get rid of the mortgage, either normally by paying it off or taking cash and using it to pay it off in advance, that's going to change their math a lot. And really, it's also going to have a big impact on their decision about taking a pension, taking one or both, lump sum, etc. So what does that look like?
Well, take a look at the pension lump sum options. For Barbie, it is $300,000 lump sum or $1,500 a month, 100% joint and survivor. For Ken, it is $350,000 or $1,800 a month. That, again, 100% joint and survivor. They also have 401k assets above and beyond their payout options of $500,000 and an after-tax savings of about $50,000.
So the really interesting piece, because we know that the lump sum amount, if we were to go that route, and we'll continue to discuss that, that's taxable. If they were to take distributions from their 401ks, that's taxable. But they let us know that they had recently received an inheritance from mom, and that's what a big chunk of their after-tax savings was, about $35,000 of that $50,000. Shockingly enough, that $35,000 number matches up perfectly with the balance of their mortgage.
Great. So I know one of their questions was, just like it is with everybody else that visits, should we pay off the mortgage? And now it sounds like you guys have uncovered the opportunity, and they, I think, may have even brought this to your attention, that they now have the cash, so they don't have to invade their retirement accounts, pay an extra 20% or so in taxes, and actually liquidate that mortgage. And if they do that, that makes their math a whole lot different.
It really does. It, just for comparisons, it makes a $6,000 a month spending need drop to $4,500. And even after taxes, it only comes up to $5,400. So the $7,200 a month number that they needed prior to paying off the home and scaled up for taxes, we can drop that by almost $2,000 a month, which is great.
And the other benefit here is with a $35,000 balance on the mortgage, they really aren't paying much interest any longer, which means if they were able to itemize in the past, it's pretty unlikely that just with the mortgage interest they would be itemizing at this point. But what it really does do is it gives them the opportunity to free up some additional cash flow, which kind of leads us back to that conversation about taking the lump sum versus the pension, because when we're looking at taking a monthly pension, it really does have to do with security of cash flow. If we can reduce outflows basically immediately before Ken retires, or before both Ken and Barbie decide to retire, then I think that leads to an increase in comfort in retirement. It makes your inflows more valuable because your outflows are significantly less.
Well, honey, and from what you have mentioned just now, their combined pension income, if they were to elect to take the pension each, was running somewhere in the area of approximately $3,300 a month. But once they reduced their outflows by eliminating the mortgage, they went to a $5,400 gross amount needed, less $3,200 of Social Security, same amount, brought their deficit per month down to $2,200. Well, that's less than the pension incomes. So do they really want to force feed $3,300 a month, taxable, more than they need, and also be in a situation where they know that after both of them are gone, the capital that's backing that asset is gone also?
Right.
You're absolutely right. And, now that we've refined their retirement math, we had a very simple but important question for Ken and Barbie is, how important is it to you to be able to pass on some of your pension benefit to your daughters? And secondarily, is it really necessary, as Jeff said, to lock in all $3,300 of that pension income?
I mean, these are both excellent questions that I think most people come in with an idea when they're looking at the pension versus the lump sum of a preference. And when we sat down, they did express a significant interest in being able to pass the assets along to their children, not having that stop when both of them are no longer here. So we wanted to take their feelings into account, make that a priority in part of what our decision was. And I'm sure a lot of listeners are thinking, well, if you have excess income, you could just save that and you can recreate your estate through savings every month. And
in their case, I don't think there was a wrong answer. You can work the equation, from both sides. It, as you said, comes down to what do you feel more comfortable with? How is your comfort or anxiety level, with each one of these options?
Yeah, it seemed to me that there were a couple of choices here. Mm-hmm. Number one is that they could have, since they only need $2,200 a month, they could take one pension.
Right, so it's not all or nothing.
Lump sum the other. They could lump sum both pensions and permit us to recreate for them a personal pension plan that would deliver that $2,200 a month when they needed it.
And potentially has the opportunity to pass the capital on. Exactly.
Or, as Rob was saying, is that they could take the full pension benefit and then we would be reinvesting the difference. That's about $1,100 a month, less taxes is maybe $900 a month, mm-hmm. that we're growing it back. Well, growing back those lump sums,
it's going to take a minute.
It sure is. It's going to take a very long time, but it doesn't matter It's up to them.
And I think we're talking about comfort level, and I think really what created the comfort for Ken and Barbie in our conversation was the very beginning when not the very beginning, when we got halfway through the conversation, peeled the onion back to discover that we could liquidate that mortgage payment, knocking about $1,500 a month out of their budget, really reducing their income need to about $5,400 a month pre-tax, leaving us with a $2,200 a month deficit. When we said, if we took the lump sums plus your 401k, your rate of withdrawal won't be 4%. It's going to be closer to 2%.
On $1.1 million.
Exactly, which is the total of their pensions plus their 401k assets. So they're going to be well below. They're going to have what we would consider a prudent rate of withdrawal for the long term, which means they've created liquidity for their assets in a different way. Dad, as you like to say, what's the milk money? To generate $26,000 a year, we need about $650,000 of assets. That's the money that is tied down by our monthly needs to sustain your lifestyle, or another simpler way to put it is that's the milk money. Everything above and beyond that for Ken and Barbie is now liquid for them to either consume, grow for their children, grow for their grandchildren.
I like that word.
Or right, we've heard it
grow.
Before. Grow in so many ways,
yes.
Indeed. Thank you. Or it might be an opportunity for them to know that they have some cushion in their monthly budget. So if they needed an extra couple $100, even $1,000 a month, we would be able to support that over a long period of time.
And it's so interesting because as we get done with this analysis for them, and we talk about designating certain assets, or a portion of it, at least in their case, their retirement assets, as the milk money, giving them that job and that duty. If they're confident, as we are, that over a long period of time, using a prudent rate of withdrawal, we can deliver that income, that return to them. What then happens is that the rest of it truly becomes not just liquid, but available for whether it's fund money or other things that you've talked about. That's real significant. I mean, I think it's significant financial freedom for them because we know that over time, let's be honest, stuff happens. People get sick. Kids need money. You're on vacation. You happen to find that wonderful second home that Jeff is going to try to talk you out of.
Gas prices go to $4 a gallon.
Exactly, whatever it would be. I mean, but having the ability to access capital and not having it all tied up to deliver the milk money, the income that you need in retirement, really is, it's more than a breath of fresh air. It's just something it creates freedom.
Absolutely. And having the milk money go from, when they first walked through the door, from a $4,000 deficit needing $1.2 million to, once we started to refine the math and drill down, to cut that number in half, and free up all that additional capital for those fun things that you just mentioned. It's great.
It is
yeah,
great.
I mean, and they did, and I'm sure that even though I wasn't present, I'm sure you gave them a woohoo.
Certainly did.
An honorary.
Right, because they're rock stars. I mean, that's what happens is they're rock stars. They have more capital than they need to provide the income that they need to maintain the lifestyle that they have.
Someone asked, was all this in the Barbie movie? I feel as though our script was way more fun.
Yeah, it's not a...
I didn't meet these folks. It was funny.
They're great.
Yeah, well, they're great. So did Barbie have blonde hair?
She was
did,
wearing,
kind of.
and she was wearing the pink shirt, all ready to go for the movie.
Looked like she stepped off the set.
And Ken, did he look like Ken or did he look like Yul Brynner?
Yul Brynner. We should all be so lucky.
Well, Rob, you were talking about the barbershop before, so I'm thinking, what the heck? He could have been Yul Brynner, and it was like
that
all
reference
that money.
is like too old for me.
I
am the young one.
You saw the original Westworld. No, you didn't.
No, I did not.
Yeah,
Thank you, though.
The Magnificent Seven. I mean, come on.
It was good stuff.
Certainly. You know what? With all of
The
that,
King and I.
I'm going to have to take some time to Google these things that happened.
The Ten Commandments.
Many
You
years
saw
ago.
the Ten Commandments.
I did.
All right.
And while you're Googling, we probably should take our first break.
That's what I'm saying.
And don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
Catholic Fraternal Life has been providing you with financially sound and secure products since 1884. And now they're excited to tell you about their new interest rates. Get a 3-year fixed annuity at a guaranteed interest rate of 5% on deposits of $5,000 to $49,000 and 5.25% on deposits of $50,000 and over. Live a richer life through financial stability and fraternalism with Catholic Fraternal Life. Call 800-240-2554 or visit cfllife.org.
Mizzou fans, if you're looking for a great place to gather to cheer on the Tigers, you've got to head to Hayden's Irish Pub, your central downtown destination for all your St. Louis sporting events. Located in the heart of downtown, Hayden's is just blocks away from Busch Stadium, Enterprise Center, City Park, and the Dome. And Hayden's offers game night drink specials you won't want to miss. Enjoy the 20-foot wall of widescreen TVs with 8 screens displaying all the sports packages and featuring the best happy hour in downtown St. Louis. Find them at facebook.com/Hayden's Irish Pub for updates and information. Let's go Tigers!
Hey, KTRS listeners, Roger Wigginton here at Don Rogers Limited, 6727 West Main in Belleville. We're into my favorite time of year, fall. Hope it's your favorite time of year also. And at Don Rogers Limited, we are loaded with a great selection of men's and women's fall apparel. In our men's department from Fusion, our wonderful selection of great-looking quarter-zip sweaters, flannel shirts, enzyme shirts, corduroy shirts, brushed cotton shirts, a huge selection of jeans from Grand River. We are ready to go for fall. In our ladies department, you'll find all the best lines. We also have a great selection of sweaters, jeans, bottoms, tops, great selection of dressy separates. We are really, really ready for fall. Hope you are too. Don't forget, we're open Tuesday through Saturday, 9:30 to 4. As always, you're going to park at the door. You're going to walk and get waited on. Don't forget, we're at 6727 West Main in Belleville. And as always, I thank you so very much for listening to our commercial.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Hey Cardinals fans, since 1967, Metro Lighting has been serving St. Louis and the surrounding region, offering an unbeatable selection of lighting and ceiling fans for the guaranteed best price. On top of the manufacturer's warranty, Metro Lighting stands behind the quality products they sell by offering their own warranty. With showrooms full of distinctive furnishings, art, accessories, and gift items, you're sure to find something to fit your style. For lighting and home, shop locally owned Metro Lighting. MetroLightingCenters.com.
You're selling your home, and I want to buy it. This is Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I am ready to pay top dollar for your home. No contingencies, no inspections, no monkey business. I buy your home no matter the condition or location, and you walk away with cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867, 314-283-0867, or at robankproperties.com. That's ROBANG properties.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Lang.
And I'm Dr. Katie O'Brien.
Every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3, we'll be on the Big 550 talking about everything regarding dogs, cats, and other domestic animals.
We'll discuss nutrition, training, regular medical checkups, invite special guests, and, of course, answer your questions.
So join us every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 with Animal Talk on the Big 550 KTRS.
The Animal Talk of St. Louis.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
9:39 here on the Big 550 KTRS Talk Radio St. Louis. We're back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement. Answer your questions and text messages. You can give us a call today, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And speaking of our text line, it's heating up, and our next texter writes, I'm 59 years old. I've worked for a few years prior to having children, and then was a stay-at-home mom. I received information from Social Security saying I was not eligible for part of it because I didn't have enough points. If I want to receive benefits, then I have to go back to work. Am I reading this right? Most likely, yes. You need 40 covered quarters to be eligible for the Social Security benefit, and if you fall below that, going back to work to acquire those covered quarters probably is the only way to get it.
And also it deals with Medicare as well, doesn't it, honey?
It will, but we're also leaving out one important point, which is if our texter is currently married, she could elect the spousal benefit from her husband, which would avoid her needing to go back to work. It would also cover her Medicare. Or if you were married to your spouse for 10 years and have been divorced since, so you have an ex but you were married for 10 years, then again you are still eligible for the spousal benefit. So you can claim 50% of your current husband or ex-husband if you had a husband for 10 years, their benefit. That would also give you access to Medicare. If none of those apply, then unfortunately you got to listen to Rob's answer, which is back to work.
Right, and also with Medicare you have to pay extra, don't you? Because you didn't pay
Correct, unless you get once you get the 40 covered quarters, though, then you would be eligible. Cool. Exactly.
Well, that's great.
It would be a Part A premium, I think, you'd have to pay?
There is a Part, exactly. Yeah. So most people have their Part A premium covered through, perfect. Then what you'll want to do, I love it when the texters are engaged because we can get some follow-up information. So texter is married, so that means what you'll want to do is snag your husband's benefit, take a look and see what it is. Depending upon your age, when you want to elect your benefit, you can elect as early as 62. Keep in mind that whatever your husband's benefit is, that will be your benefit will be 50% of that, and then every year that you are under your normal retirement age, you're going to continue to discount that benefit by 8%. So if your normal retirement age is 67, and you and your husband decide it makes sense for you to elect your benefit at 66, your benefit is only going to be 42% of your husband's benefit. So you'll want to keep that in mind when you are considering electing Social Security.
And also, the biggest deal is he has to be electing his benefit.
Right, he has to actually receive it.
He has to be receiving his for you to elect the spousal benefit. And that was a big change.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest changes in the last 15 years to Social Security. But I would say, great news, don't have to go back to work unless you don't like the benefit and you want to make it bigger.
Yeah, and unless your husband retires and you go, more husband, less money, I better get out of here and go and do
more
something.
Husband, less money. Sounds like a book.
What many of our clients have written. That's why maybe that's why the women always stay at work.
I think because they make more
money.
You're
so bright. I called you daughter. That's all I can tell you.
Because the ladies are making more money now? That's
you have no idea how many of these meetings I'm sitting in, and the husband's going, you know, I'm going to be retiring, and the wife is gone. I can see it in her eyes. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And I was with some clients yesterday, and they were talking about how they're going to retire. They were thinking at the same time.
Ooh.
And I suggested, well, you know, you might want to give your husband a little bit of time, maybe a couple of months for him to have.
Why does he get to go first?
Well, because the husbands husbands don't generally reacclimate to retirement from regular working as we see, at least I've seen as their wives do. And so let him have an opportunity to create his new patterns of behavior, which is, you know, how long is he going to sleep? Where is he going to? What are the activities?
Where is he going to sleep now?
Exactly, engaging in that stuff. I think it's important to do that because, well, you know, quick story. So we have a client. We had a client who we still have him, who retired, and his daughter happened to have also. I'd hired her to come to work with us as a marketing person. And she came to work and said, we have a new, Dad just retired. We're really happy. Mom's not retired. I'm not retired. We have a new rule in our house. Dad doesn't get to come downstairs before 9 o'clock because what he was doing was interrupting their patterns because he hadn't created his pattern. So let your husband, let the man get his new patterns in place and then go.
See, this is why there's many of us here, because I would say, why do the men get to retire?
It's a lot of space to
You
fill.
just don't get it yet, babe. It's okay.
I don't get it.
Because you have 8 hours at work, but then you have the before work and you have the hour after work. So it's really a 10-hour day. And, they have to reach that, as Jeff was saying, the new equilibrium with what is my lifestyle like. Now I have 10 hours a day, almost half, where I was at work doing X, Y, and Z.
Listen,
now
ladies,
I'm
we
at
should
home.
not be punished for being able to reacclimate quicker.
Look, when Adam gave up that rib, he lost a lot more than that. Okay, that's all I can say. The lady's got all the brain power. So at the end of the day, take my advice on this. You want it, whether it's the really either spouse, letting that person create their new patterns. What are they going to be doing? Who are they going to be seeing? Is really important, because they're replacing that work time with their own time.
Right.
And the truth is, unless you really have a super marriage, waking up and staring at each other and going, what are we going to do today, probably isn't the most fun thing to do.
No, not at all.
No?
Yeah, now he's become the entertainment.
It's funny. No, it's funny because I remember when I was out in Arizona and we'd been out there for, I don't know, it was like a couple of weeks. I was obviously still working and doing the show. Yeah, got up one morning. Your mom looked at me and said, "What are we doing today?" And I said, "I'm not your playmate."
Well, then what the heck are you?
Not a playmate.
I'm not your playmate. That isn't my thing. I'm working
monkey.
and I'm doing etc. And so what happens is, she hadn't had an opportunity to create her routines. Now that she has, I can have mine. It's just something to consider. That's all.
Having a routine, having structure in retirement, really important. You don't want to be rudderless, and you're like, wow, what am I going to do every day? Because when you have 50 hours every week.
Do you actually have a copy of the newsletter for a quick second? Because this is an interesting point that you bring up before we go to our next break of the hour. One of the articles that we brought up in the newsletter, the third article, 4 Key Objectives of a Sound Retirement, I would say that we actually have a little bit of evidence here to back this up, because last week kind of highlighted some of the happier words that people associate with retirement, but unfortunately there are some words that people associate with retirement that are less pleasant, that I think maybe go back to this point of either maybe being forced into retirement or retiring and not realizing that you've got a 9-10 hours to fill in the day that you hadn't really thought about. Sure. Which is bored. 14% of people. So we find, especially in this particular climate, I've noticed, and we've had multiple clients that have retired, and within 6 months, their companies are begging them back to work, work remotely, work part-time, we'll give you health insurance, please just come back. We need some, and they're going back. One, because they don't want to pass up the paycheck anymore because they're bored. So, Dad, like you always say, something has to be more compelling to you than your paycheck to decide to actually make that retirement leap.
Well, the other thing is sometimes folks realize that they still have tread left on their tires.
And that also leads into lacking purpose. So I think that leads back to men having a little bit more trouble retiring than women, because in most cases men tie a lot of their self-worth and their identity to their careers, whereas women have a lot of things outside of the career that they associate themselves with. And then the last one I would say is isolated, which can go back to not really having a plan.
There you go.
So with all that being said, I think we should take our second break of the hour.
Let's do that. We'll be right back after these messages.
Mom, what do you always say?
There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on-site at Newstetter's Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend, or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
Are you worried about your budget for your new kitchen or bathroom? Call me, Anne-Marie Boges, the new co-host of the Inside Out Show on the Big 550 and owner and designer of Anne-Marie Design Studio. Visit our website, annemariestudio.com, where you can use our budget calculator tool to see a preliminary breakdown for your project. See how we can transform your old drab kitchen or bath into the envy of your neighborhood at Anne-Marie Design Studio in Wildwood. Visit our website, annemariestudio.com.
I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I want your fixer-upper home or condo. It's crazy to spend a ton of money fixing it up when I will pay you top dollar right now. I don't even care what condition it's in. Your trash is my treasure. No inspections, no contingencies, just cold, hard cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's Mike Robinson, 314-283-0867, or at robangproperties.com.
Jennifer Blome here. Are you retired looking for new social activities? St. Louis Oasis offers health programs, volunteer opportunities, and special interest classes for older adults, all aimed at keeping you connected. Oasis has several locations, including a brand new one in O'Fallon, Illinois. Their classes in art, history, science, religion, cooking, technology, and more. Visit stloasis.org/age-smart to learn more.
Before you put your home on the market, before you have to pay money fixing it up to sell it, before you have to pay real estate commissions, call me. I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I will buy your home. Any property, any condition, anywhere, and always as is. Call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. You have nothing to lose when you call Robank Properties at 314-283-0867.
Are you a former smoker? The lawyers at Team Malone are bringing cases against Big Tobacco to hold them accountable for their wrongdoings. If you or a loved one have recently been diagnosed with a smoking-related illness, such as bladder cancer, throat cancer, lung cancer, or COPD, please call 1-888-SMOKE-18 to learn more. That's 1-888-SMOKE-18. There's no cost to speak with us.
A message from the master. If you are looking for that one-of-a-kind gift this year, come on in to Newsetter's Fine Jewelers. Let Richard draw your future present for somebody you love. This special engraving lasts a lifetime. At the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
Stray Rescue of St. Louis seeks out the animals no shelter will take. Then they breathe life and love back into them and find their forever homes. Join CEO Cassidy Caldwell this Sunday afternoon at 5 to learn more about the Stray Rescue Shelter Program, Freedom Fund, volunteer and foster options. Cassidy has many wonderful rescue stories she wants to share with you. Get involved and make a change this Sunday afternoon at 5 with Stray Rescue of St. Louis on the Big 550 KTRS. Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we've got about 7 minutes left in this hour, and of course we have our next hour, which is going to be featuring, as it usually does, a discussion about Medicare. And that's always fun and important to do with Aaron, who'll be leading that discussion.
Excellent.
So before we... And again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And our next texter writes, Mizzou game next week starts at 11 o'clock. What time will you be on? Asking because I do not want to miss next week's show. Can you tell I am a planner? I can indeed.
We love that. Planners are great. We're going to be on it bright and early, 7 a.m., taking the place of the yard sale. Don't come after us with the things you're not allowed to.
It's going to be like the graveyard sale because it's so early in the morning. Hello.
Right. Well, yard sale fans, don't come after us with the things you're not allowed to sell on the yard sale. We can't help the programming.
we do appreciate you asking.
Absolutely, we do. We'll be on at 7 a.m.
Bright and early.
The bright and early.
Well, I do want to go to our mailbag while we're waiting for your text and phone calls at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Jody asked me.
Jody, that's a great name.
Jode.
So glad I came up with it. Can you borrow money from your IRA and then pay it back later? Rob, our fledgling financial advisor?
There are no loans from an IRA.
No.
You can take a distribution. That you can do, but you have to pay it back within 60 days. And you can do that one time.
From one IRA.
Correct.
And so people like to call it a loan because when you take the distribution, if you have the intention of paying it back within 60 days, you can avoid paying taxes on the distribution. But essentially what you've done is taken a distribution you're not paying taxes on. If you return it within 60 days, you are alleviated from owing taxes at the end of the year, but it's not a loan. There's no interest that accrues or anything like that.
And the IRS doesn't like you doing that, and that's why they made new restrictions where it can only be done with one IRA, Roth or traditional, one time during the year.
It basically, your 1099 is generated per account number. So there are many people that have multiple IRAs, or maybe you have an IRA and a Roth IRA. Even if someone does the distribution for you on the same day, but it's from two separate accounts, that counts as two. So you can only pay one back if that was your original intention. So it's really important to consult with your tax planner, your advisor, before you do anything like this, because
this is one thing they can track
very easily.
Yes.
It really is intended for almost like an emergency situation. So you want to be careful if you are attempting to do this.
I'm just going to say the way they have the rules set up, it's almost,
it's punitive.
It's like they're discouraging. They're giving you a way to do it, but they really would prefer you didn't.
Well, the reason is that some people were using this as a short-term borrowing mechanism. They would borrow money from one IRA. Then what they would do is pay it back, and then borrow, pay it back, borrow, pay it back. It was all, and again, no income tax recognition. And IRS didn't like that because that's not really what these plans are for.
And also, then they weren't getting their tax dollars.
That's right. And there are so many there's so many rules that are set up by ERISA to really protect savers. Sort of like the whole idea about making loans from 401k plans. You can do them.
It's just
there's a limit, 50% up to $50,000. You do have to pay them back within 5 years, or they become taxable distributions.
And the way that you pay those 401k loans back is through
payroll deductions. Yep.
The other thing is that you can't withdraw money from a 401k if you're still an active participant in the plan. Period. You're just not allowed to do that. The only way you can get money out is by a loan. So lots of rules there to protect you, whether you like them or not. That's just the game that we have to play, right?
Absolutely. They give us the playbook. We just have to adhere to it.
So we've got about 3 minutes left. Again, our phone lines are open, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And recently I received a question from a client. He's currently working, but his wife is not. Is he able to make a contribution to an IRA account for her? And the answer is maybe. Right, honey?
Income limitations.
Right. Depending on how much income he's making, he may or may not be able to make a contribution for her. I believe it's
$6,500 for this year with $1,000 catch-up if you're over 50.
Yeah, but the income limit, I think, is somewhere around $165,000, I believe, is where you start phasing out.
Yes, I think that's correct.
So it depends on how much you're making as compared to...
So you'll want to consult irs.gov because they have excellent tables for many of these things. For example, Roths have income limitations if you are eligible outside of a 401k or you have a Roth outside of a 401k to make contributions. Their income limitations on spousal IRAs, which is what the emailer was referring to. If his spouse is not working, but he is, to make contributions, because for Roth and traditional IRA contributions, you have to show earned income. A spouse can show it as long as you're under a certain income limit to be eligible. IRS.gov has excellent tables on all of those things to refer to, or you can always call up your tax professional.
And these are all really fun questions, and certainly ones that we're used to receiving and we enjoy answering. During coaching sessions.
That's
for
right.
those folks that are 55 and older, they're within 5 years of retirement, they're already retired. And as we like to say, we love to create a game plan for them so they can have fun and hopefully financially secure for retirement. We do that in our offices and in all of that. We have an electronic 6x8 foot whiteboard that we love to play This Is Your Life. And it's all fun. It's free at our office and all of that. Easy to do. Just pick up the phone, give us a call, 314-863-0009. or if you prefer, you can go to our website, hit the Contact Us section, give us your name, address if you want, phone number, email address. Our staff will be very happy to get in touch with you. We'd love to have you in our offices and visit with you.
We have a couple more text questions on deck, but it looks like we only have a couple seconds left until we have to take our last break of this hour. But please don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we will answer those text questions along with our smart choices about your healthcare segment.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. We're here to answer your questions about retirement, 401k planning, 401k rollovers, inheritances, Medicare, because we have Frank Ellis, our Medicare coach, in the house this morning. So queue up your Medicare questions, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Before we jump into Frank's segment this morning, which I know you've all been waiting for the past hour, I did want to get to a text question we received just before our last break. My husband turned 65 earlier this year. He's still working. I was told he could still collect Social Security, and we could think that until he retires in 1 year without penalty, no matter how much he makes. Is this correct? No. So because your husband is under normal retirement age, I'm guessing that his normal retirement age is 66 in several months, maybe 7 or 10 months. The year that you elect your Social Security benefit, if you are under normal retirement age, they're going to give you some reprieve. So as long as after you've elected you earn less than the income limitation, which is about $21,000, then there's no penalty. But next year that clock starts over again. So he still will be under normal retirement age. He'll be within the year of normal retirement age at this point, is my guess, which means that number bumps up to about $48,000 that he can earn. And then after he reaches normal retirement age, which probably won't be until towards the end of next year, if not into the following year, that's when there are no longer any income limitations when collecting your Social Security benefit. So you want to make sure that the numbers line up correctly, because just the way that you phrase the question, no, you'll be subject to the take-back in that instance.
Be careful.
Great point. But you don't have to be careful when Frank is with us chatting about it. We're like a day off from open enrollment.
That's right. October 1st is the official, and it begins. Good morning, everyone. We got some really fun stuff, some really good stuff that we're going to be kicking out to you all over the next several weeks, with the radio show happening, with webinars happening, and the new changes for these plans that are absolutely going to be fantastic for some of you folks. So I'm excited to talk about this stuff. I'm excited to share as much information today as I can with you.
If only the calendar worked differently. We were just 1 day away from the rules.
That's right. Or I was thinking if the radio show was tomorrow,
I know,
could take
if
somebody's
only.
slot. We could roll it all out.
Right, emergency open enrollment radio show. Frank, you brought up a great point. We're actually going to be hosting a webinar that will discuss the specifics of all of the new plans, on all of the old plans that are new again. That's going to be on, I believe, October 13th. You can send us an email through jblfinancial.com in the Contact Us section if you'd like information on our webinar. Hopefully we'll be able to get it posted on our YouTube page so people will be able to refer back to it during open enrollment. But you're also welcome to call the office, 314-863-0008, and jump on the schedule with Frank, and he can chat with you specifically about your needs during open enrollment. But let's give the people almost what they want.
Let's give them what they want. They want the good stuff. They want the fun stuff.
Right.
So something that we're going to try to do this year during open enrollment is every week we're going to continue to roll out something new with these plans. Okay. Or some sort of new benefit that you get with your plan, or some sort of change that may have happened within Medicare for 2024. So for these next 10 weeks, we're going to be just giving you guys a lot of information. A lot of it's going to be good stuff for your benefits, like extra benefits, dental, vision, hearing, all of the fun stuff, and some of it's going to be some new drug stuff, new drug information. So stay tuned in because this is going to be very good information. So today, while we can't share 100% of everything with you, I just wanted to kind of talk about one of the best perks for next year for some of these plans. Okay, so in most cases, whenever you go to the doctor or you go to the hospital or you go to therapy, okay, your plan will have some sort of co-payment that you'll have to pay for services rendered. An example of this, okay, would be Phil. So Phil sent me an email, and this was probably about 2 years ago. Phil just sent me an email, and he had a knee surgery. I remember he had a knee replacement. And he sent me an email, and he's like, hey, I'm under this Medicare Advantage plan. I understand this plan doesn't have a monthly payment. This is the first time I'm using this plan. How much could I expect to pay for a knee operation? Mm-hmm. So he goes in, and I let him know your outpatient cost is probably going to be a $250 copay that goes towards your maximum out of pocket. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he goes and gets the service done, pays the $250 outpatient copay, has therapy, so he's paying, $35 copays or so for therapy. And every time he's making that payment, it's getting counted towards that maximum out of pocket under his Medicare Advantage plan. Okay, so Phil is contributing copays to his plan. Okay, same thing for folks that are not even on Medicare yet, folks that are on employer's coverage or some sort of private insurance. When you use their service, but the difference is with employer's coverage, you're paying for employer's coverage every month. Compared to Medicare Advantage, you're not paying for that. You're only making copays when you need to. So employer's coverage, even if you're on something like that, you're making copays that get counted towards either one, your deductible, or either two, your maximum out of pocket for your plan. I remember I had a lady named Mary who she was 65, getting ready to come on to Medicare. She was on employer's coverage, of course. And she says, basically all she does is just go to the urgent care under her employer's plan. And I asked her how much urgent care was, and she said she was paying an $80 copay for urgent care. So right away I knew, okay, when she comes on to Medicare Advantage, she's only going to be making a $35 copay compared to an $80 copay on her employer's plan. But she is still indeed making copays towards her plan. Okay, so no matter what plan you have out there, okay, in fact, I can only think of maybe 2 plans out there in the nation that you do not have to make copays. Mm-hmm. One of those would be a Plan F with a Medicare supplement, which you can't get those anymore unless you join Medicare before January of 2020. And the other one would be TRICARE for Life. So those would be the only 2 that I would know that you don't have to make copays on.
So the nice thing for people to know is, especially if you're transitioning on to Medicare, or maybe you are using a Medicare supplement, even if it's not a Plan F, but maybe it's a Plan G and it has that deductible to meet, which would require some out-of-pocket expense on your part. Right. You're not going to see a lot of difference, except for in a lot of cases to the positive side, because copays tend to be less expensive on the Medicare Advantage plans than they are on employer-based coverage or individual coverage if you're under 65 but not currently working. Hopefully you'll see continuity in terms of how you are using your policy, but a little less money comes out of your pocket every single month. And so maybe if you are someone that is using a supplement right now, you might like to hear what's it like to just pay these $35, $250 copays as opposed to your monthly premium.
Absolutely. And folks that are on that supplement, if you do not have a Plan F, so for instance, if you have a Plan G and a Plan N, mm-hmm. and you are paying the deductible of $226, when you go, get services done at a specialist, or, you go to some sort of therapy or something, you're making payments to go towards that $226. Okay. So those are technically copays that you're paying up until the $226 deductible. Now, in most cases, copays are going to be, I've seen about $150 or less for most copays.
And we're talking about not just doctor copays, right?
That's correct. So I'm talking like emergency. We're talking specialist. We're talking MRIs, radiology services, blood work, lab work. Most cases, copays are going to be very affordable, under $150. The higher of the copays comes for more serious things like outpatient hospital. Most of the times that's about $250 copay inpatient hospital. So if you're admitted into the hospital for several days on end, you may pay for the first 6 days, $325 per day for the first 6 days, but then you may be covered from day 7 and onward after that.
Let's put this in a little perspective for some people because open enrollment is really about everybody on Medicare. So if you have a supplement in Missouri right now, let's say that you were working with somebody that you just signed up for Medicare, they're around 65 years old or maybe a few years older. How much are they paying a month in premium for a Plan G, so a very popular supplement?
The Plan G, which I think, yes, is the best supplement if you're going to go the supplemental route, typically is going to be about $150 a month. We may be looking at a little bit more just depending on what zip code you're in or how old you are, your age. Those are going to be two determining factors. How much you pay. So typically we like to say about $150 or so.
Got you. So $150 a month to avoid paying copays that are no more than $150 per service.
That's right. For the most part, your copays are going to be $150 or less. Absolutely.
And you already mentioned most of the Medicare Advantage plans now are offering, even this year, not even looking into next year, most of these plans are offering zero copay to the primary, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
You don't pay anything when you see the primary, and then about $35 could be $30 to $45, depending upon which plan you have. There's a little bit of a range there for specialists.
That's correct.
So most people, unless they have something come up like Phil, where they need a knee surgery, things like that, they're seeing they're seeing their primary, which costs nothing, and then they're seeing a specialist, which could cost $45, maybe.
That's it.
But some people want to avoid that by paying $150 a month.
That's right, because those Medicare supplements, $150 a month. And a lot of folks, they like those supplements because they don't have any network. Meaning, you can go see any doctor. Mm-hmm. But what the Medicare Advantage plans have done, how they've strengthened these plans, is that they all have pretty much a national network now between, your Aetnas and your United Healthcares, your big brand carriers. They have what's called a national network. So you can use your plan, whether it's an HMO or a PPO plan, anywhere, just like you could a Medicare supplement plan.
Just those physicians need to be accepting whichever company plan that you have elected.
That's right. That's right.
I was going to say, I'm thinking about this example that you gave with Mary, who called you, that said that she's going to the ER and that's how she used it, and that basically what was happening is that she was paying with the Medicare Advantage, she was paying $35, but she was actually paying more than that when she went herself. So if she has a supplement, she's paying $1,800 a year of a fixed premium. Plus, then she's also paying for those copays. Basically, at the emergency room would then be used to also satisfy that deductible. So she's looking at several $1,000s a year in terms of fixed costs.
That's right.
As compared to with the Medicare Advantage plan, where she's only paying the copays.
That's right. She'd be paying the copay of $35, so $70 a year, and then she'd be saving on top of that another $1,800 a year from not having to pay, an insurance company $150 or even more a month. But I'm going to give you something better. I'm going to show you another way that Mary is going to be able to save even more money in this situation. Okay. So we talked about some of the really good perks on our webinar last week that we hosted, and one of them was that some of these plans are offering what's called a copay allowance. So how great is this, folks? You don't even have to make your own copays anymore at the doctor's office. They're going to make them for you.
How does this work?
So that's funny. That's a great question. So starting next year, 2024, some of these plans are going to give you an allowance. This is just like a dental allowance or a vision allowance or your hearing allowance that you already get inside of your plan at no extra cost. Okay, and we are talking Medicare Advantage plans. We are not talking, unfortunately, about the Medicare supplement plans. So they are going to physically give you a card, and they are going to load it every quarter with money that you can use for copays.
So you have a copay credit card.
You have a copay credit card. So I kind of want to give an example. I know we can't throw out, actual numbers on how much folks are going to get, but I do want to give an example of how this stuff is going to work, okay? So for Medicare Advantage plans, okay, we know that HMOs, okay, have a low max out-of-pocket. Usually around $3,000 nationwide would be the average is what we're seeing. So $3,000 maximum out of pocket. You're not paying anything monthly, okay? And let's just say out of that $3,000, the insurance company was going to give you $100 every single quarter. So every 4 months, you're going to get $100 from the insurance company, okay? Or every 3 months, excuse me. You're gonna get $100 from the insurance company to pay for your copays.
Mm-hmm.
You go do whatever. You go to the urgent care. You go to the ER. Okay, and you're giving these doctors your copay card. They're taking that money from you, and it's not coming out of your bank account. So essentially, what's happening every single quarter is they're knocking out your max out of pocket for you.
Wait a minute. So not only is the insurance company going to pay the copay for you up to a certain amount per quarter, you gave an example, which is not based on benefits necessarily, of $100 a quarter.
Correct.
If you had a specialist visit for let's say that your maximum out of pocket was $3,000. Mm-hmm. If you had a copay of $40, you gave the doctor your credit card that is loaded with your $100. You have $60 left on the card. Mm-hmm. But your maximum out of pocket is now reduced by the $40, or you've already built $40 towards your maximum out of pocket?
Correct. You've already built the $40 towards your maximum out of pocket.
So you are using the insurance company's money to satisfy your maximum liability.
That is correct.
So you've reduced. So now everyone that already has their booklet in the mail, because we know many of you do, flip to the page that shows you the copay credit card, or what's the name of the benefit? I'm sorry.
We just call it a copay allowance.
Copay allowance.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be listed in your benefits book as a copay allowance. Unfortunately, we don't get the benefits books until tomorrow, but everybody on the plan gets them now. So take your new maximum out of pocket, because many of the plans have altered them slightly. They do every year. And then subtract out your copays, and that's what your real maximum.
That's your new maximum out of pocket. You got it. You got it. And I gave the example of, $100 a quarter. Mm-hmm. Could be more, could be less. However,
it's a surprise.
I want to keep it. Yeah, I want to keep that hanging.
Right.
So folks
tune in.
Yeah, whenever I can really give the information. If I could today, I absolutely would. But nonetheless, yes, that's going to go towards your maximum, and that is absolutely fantastic.
So in Mary's case, she could only go to the ER 10 times.
For free.
For free.
That's right.
Does the copay allowance add up? In other words, if you don't use your allotted,
roll over?
So,
exactly.
So it will not roll over, just like most of the other benefits, just like the dental, the vision, and the hearing. They won't roll over, but every single quarter it will renew.
So this is a great question, Rob. If in the first quarter you had $100 of a copay allowance, but you didn't use it, you just get another $100. You don't get $200 total for the next quarter. You lost that original $100.
So it's use it or lose it.
It's use it or lose it.
But they're going to replenish it, so you really haven't lost.
That's right.
That's great.
Right. I mean, if you're not, sick and don't need to go to the doctor, there's no need to, really use this stuff. We're not talking,
we're not compelling you to use your benefits unless you need them. But
right. This isn't the Frank, how do I buy my golf clubs under my Medicare plan conversation yet. Okay, that's gonna happen next week, because I want to give you guys a price on how much you guys can go out there and get your golf clubs for. Okay, so that'll happen next week when I can give you the real info. But this is such a really cool. I mean, if my plan offered this, I would definitely take advantage of it. Probably go do my physical more, but
that's just an amazing benefit that I think
absolutely.
For everyone out there listening, and we already have gotten a few texts that just say, I have Plan G, I don't have a copay, just the deductible.
Sorry, Chucky.
You might really want to consider reviewing your options on Medicare Advantage. If you work with someone like Frank, it costs you nothing to have the review. The way that we like to set our meetings up, our Medicare coaching sessions in the office, is when we set your appointment, and that can be Zoom, phone, in the office, whatever you prefer. We're going to send a medical questionnaire out to you that not only asks what's your current coverage, what are you currently paying for that coverage, but who are your physicians and what are your prescriptions. So that way Frank can do an actual comparison for you between what you are currently using versus what your options are that would retain your physicians and hopefully cover your prescriptions as well or better. This might be the year that you really consider switching, because not only is the insurance company now going to help you cover these are the number one used benefits, are visits to the doctor. Right. So most people, that is how they consume their health care the majority of the time. The insurance companies now are going to alleviate the majority of that expense for you, because as my dad just pointed out, Mary in Frank's example could go to the ER like 10 times and not ever have to pay anything out of pocket. Well, why are you paying the insurance company a monthly premium for something that sometimes the same insurance company? You have a United Healthcare supplement. United Healthcare offers Medicare Advantage plans.
That's right.
So you're paying, oh my gosh, it's basically taxes. You're paying for other people to not have to pay.
That's right.
Paying it out, getting refunds. It's incredible.
I just want to add this. I was listening to the example you were talking about with a client that was going to have a knee surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is somebody that originally was enrolling for the first time in Medicare, I'm sure the recommendation might have been, you really want to think about a traditional supplement because it's going to absorb more of the expenses on the front end. You're not going to have to worry about things.
That's right.
That ain't the case anymore.
Yeah.
It really isn't. I mean, what's happening is like, as the discussion was here, is that if there's a dollar amount that's up front that's going to cover that copay,
that's right,
then you've really reduced the dollar amount, et cetera. And we know that after the real surgery has occurred, whether it's, you need whatever it would be, the rehab is not that expensive. It just isn't. And it's also discounted because what's happening is using a network. Those networks, physicians, specialists, have contracted fees and rates. And all of this stuff, which is, I think, the coolest part, all goes to your maximum out-of-pocket expenses, other than your prescription stuff. But it's cool. I mean, it really makes you think about the algebra. And I just remember, frankly, 25 years ago when they came out the concept of PPO plans, and it was like, oh, do I need to use the book, or am I going to whatever, et cetera. And now there's no such thing as traditional indemnity plans. They just don't exist anymore. It's because we have networks. Using the book, using the network. And if you're a physician is participating in Medicare, in one of these networks, which are huge, whether especially Aetna, especially United Healthcare, especially Anthem, this is the year you got to pinch yourself, get off the couch, 314-863-0008. Call Frank, set up a coaching session. Let's get down to the numbers and start, frankly, no pun intended, start saving some money. Okay, let's really start thinking, or at least put you in a position to make a good decision.
Okay, so I know these are new, Frank. So if we don't have all the answers, we can always get them down the line. I'm still obsessed with this copay credit card right now. Let's say that someone had $100, charged up on there, and the copay was $250. Can they use the $100 and then they pay the $150 balance?
And then pay the difference? I do believe so. I do believe that there is no rule against, having to make a copay about,
like you liquidating out the card.
Yeah.
Okay, just because, in the past, some of these benefits have had little peculiarities, if you will. Like you couldn't buy glasses over a certain dollar amount. They wouldn't give you the benefit. So I just think it's always good to know some of the ins and outs, especially on a cool benefit like this. You don't want to end up disappointed for some reason.
That's right.
But that's pretty awesome. All right, so if anyone has any Medicare questions for Frank, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Also, if we've piqued your interest and you'd like to set up a coaching session specifically with Frank to discuss these options, his schedule's pretty full the next 2 weeks, but we have all the way until December 7th. For you to make these, for you to have some time to chat with Frank. So please give our office a call, 314-863-0008, or you can always email Franklin at jblfinancial.com. We will get you scheduled for a time to chat. Don't miss the opportunity to at least hear about what your potential alternative options are. There's no cost, there's no obligation, and also for those of you that have never tried a Advantage plan before, Frank, can you explain the free look for everyone so they know that there's a trapdoor?
Sure. So the free look is going to be the time whenever Medicare allows you to spend 1 full year under your Medicare Advantage plan before moving over to a traditional Medicare plan without any sort of health questions needed. Okay. So they'll give you that full year to decide. Okay. And this is if you are in a Medicare Advantage plan, they'll give you that full year to decide, okay, I want to switch from a Medicare Advantage plan or an HMO PPO to a traditional Medicare plan. So like a Medicare supplement, Plan G or a Plan N. So you do have that full year to change without any health questions.
Right. So if you're somebody that's currently utilizing a supplement and you said, that credit card sounds cool, I want to try out Medicare Advantage, it sounds like it might work for me, you have 1 year to decide if you like it. If you don't, you get to jump right back to your supplement. Now, you might have a slight premium increase depending upon your situation, but no medical underwriting, so they'll let you back into your old policy.
That's right.
Would the benefits mentioned, can the balance be rolled over from 1 month to another, or for one? So, like Rob asked, are those benefits roll over from quarter to quarter, or are they use it or you lose it per quarter?
So it will not roll over. You will get it renewed every single quarter, but it will not roll over. So in my example, the $100. If you did not use the $100 from January, February, and March, okay, you would not get $200 in April.
But you still have $100 in April.
But you would have $100 in April. That's correct.
Well, I think the best way to think about it is that the tank isn't empty. That you don't get to carry it over. They're going to empty the tank and refill it. So the card goes from, example, $100 to zero, and then it goes to $100.
Yep.
So there's no angles here, kiddies. I mean, it's it's going to be it's going to be very date specific. And oh my God, can I have no?
Oh, are we using the $100 as just a template, or could it be $250? Could it be $300?
Oh, it could definitely be $250. It could be $300.
Cool,
so $100
cool.
is just a template.
Right.
$100 is just a template.
Right, because guys, we can't really talk about specifics until tomorrow.
No, don't want to get anyone in trouble. Just curious.
So like I said, if you're already utilizing a Medicare Advantage plan, you probably received your 2024 booklet already. So take a moment, flip through it, see what you got in there.
And if you haven't, now you have a reason.
Absolutely. And it looks like we have Chris on line 1 with a Medicare question. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Aaron and the gang.
Good morning.
Calling from the People's Republic of Illinois here. I know I'm showing my politics, but I don't care.
We don't mind.
Yeah. Okay. I am a train wreck, and since in my retirement since January 31st. But when I registered, I'm 64, so I'll be 65 next May. I have the $1 million question for Frank is, I currently have Medicaid, Illinois Medicaid Blue Cross insurance. Is it by law, Frank, that I have to register for Medicaid?
Register for Medicaid. If you already have Medicaid, then what's going to happen is when you turn 65, you are going to get on Medicare, and you're going to be a dual enrollee. So you'll have Medicaid plus Medicare, and then you'll be able to get a Medicare Advantage plan. Again, that's that free plan that you're not going to have to pay for. That's going to come with some really, really good perks for you under a dual enrollment plan.
Right, because the cool thing for you, Chris, is you're going to open up your network from just Medicaid to Medicare and Medicaid. So you'll get not only extra benefits, but you'll have more doctors to choose from, too.
Okay. I appreciate it, Aaron and Frank. And I just, one more comment. I hate lawyers. I just, you can tell that lawyers who set this whole system up, man. And it's. I mean, you guys are great at putting things in common sense language for the average Joe and Jane can understand, but it still gets quite confusing at times. But you have a great show, and I'll continue to listen.
We truly appreciate that, Chris. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for
a lot.
listening, and thanks for those great comments.
Have a great day. So the sun will shine when you hit 65.
It's just gonna be great. You don't want to wish your life away, but hey, it gets great. Even at 65.
Babe, I'm sure we have some other folks that are going to want to text in or even give us a call at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. So let's take our break. And Frank wants to run out of here, but we got him tied down, so he'll be here to answer your questions after we take this break. So don't touch this dial. We'll be right back.
If you're turning 65 this year, you face one of the most critical choices for your retirement game plan, enrolling in Medicare Part B and choosing your Medicare supplement. I will help you safely navigate this process and find the health insurance plan that best works with your new Medicare coverage. Getting started is easy. Call me at 314-863-0008, 314-863-0008 to arrange for a free health insurance coaching session, or email me at aaron@jblfinancial.com.
Come on, start already. Come on, you rigid fabric.
Is it time to make a change with your lawn equipment? Hi, this is Frank Blair from Schnarr's Hardware. The next time you're ready to do lawn work, have the next best thing to a professional lawn crew waiting for you. Reach for the tools they rely on. Echo Outdoor Power Equipment. For power and durability, season after season, Echo Power Tools have been the choice of professionals for years. Every engine carries the highest performance rating available, and every product is backed by the industry's only 5-year consumer warranty. And in the unlikely event your Echo sounds like the beginning of this commercial, bring it to us. We're a servicing dealer. So come to Schnarr's Hardware and let us help you put an Echo in your garage. We're open 7 days a week, so call us at 314-993-0910 in Ladue or 314-961-4522 in Webster Groves. For address, hours, or to shop online, go to schnars.com. It's easy when you start at Schnars.
Now is when Coventry turns confusion into clarity. Coventry Healthcare has got a simple approach to care. By listening to their members, Coventry can make plans that work harder for you and your budget. The result? They offer great service and clear costs. If you're looking for a plan that's more about you, give them a call at 1-855-338-9551, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's 1-855-338-9551. Now is the time to call Coventry Healthcare.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. We're here discussing Medicare and pending Medicare open enrollment for 2024. Good thing we have Roger on the line. Welcome, Roger. Thanks for calling in.
Hello there. I had one question, now I have a zillion. But anyway, my question is, I get all generic drugs on my drug plan with United Healthcare. Does the actual cost of those, is that what applies to getting to the donut hole threshold?
So how you get to that donut hole is by every time you go and pick up one of your medications at the pharmacy. Okay, so you're going to make a copay for anything that's a non-generic. Okay, so with you being on generic, you're not contributing anything towards that donut hole right now. And then the other correct. Number that they look at is the retail, how much it retails for each month. So that will continue to add up on the back end, but your costs will remain the same at zero for any generics.
And it's pretty unlikely if you're on all generics that you're going to get to the donut hole because the retail value of those prescriptions is relatively small.
Absolutely. If you're just on Tier 1 and Tier 2 medications, you're not going to hit that donut hole. It's the Tier 3 and 4.
I was considering Ozempic, which is quite pricey, and I don't think I can get a year's worth of that in under the donut hole.
So under the donut hole, For this year, I know that for 2023, it will probably remain the same in 2024 as a Tier 3. But you are correct. You would not be able to go a full year without hitting that donut hole. You can get away with going about half of the year before you hit that donut hole. But, yeah, you'll hit it within about 6 or 7 months out of the year.
And did I hear you correctly say that this copay or deductible credit is not being offered by United Healthcare?
We just said it's not a supplemental benefit. So it's if you're using a Medicare Advantage plan, then potentially you will also have access to this. We can't reveal, unfortunately, which companies or what the benefits are yet, but most Medicare Advantage plans have added some type of benefit along these lines. Is that correct, Frank?
That's correct. Yeah. Whether they're going to be, and again, every single week we're going to be rolling out some new information, but there's so many different benefits among these plans. Today we talked about the copay allowance that you're going to get. Other plans that don't have the copay allowance, they have things like called extra essentials, where you can choose to get a card for $50 or $20 to help with healthy foods or groceries, or extra dental. So there's going to be some other perks. The copay allowance is not in every plan, but they are in some of the Medicare Advantage plans, not the Medicare supplemental plans. And we'll just
I'm an Advantage guy.
Okay.
You guys talked me into that years ago.
That had to be Aaron there.
Yes, it was.
Well, then.
Okay. Well, I guess I better run upstairs and open that book they sent me and wade through it and see what it says in there.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say thank you for calling, Roger. And if you have any questions when you open that booklet, you just give us a call, and Frank will be here to answer them for you, 314-863-0008. And Roger brought up a question that I have now, Frank, which is, does the copay card work for prescription drug copays, or is it medical only?
So it's medical only. It will not go towards anything to do with your prescription drugs. That is still going to be separate. Okay, it's still included in your plan, your prescription drugs at no extra cost under the Medicare Advantage plans, but the copay allowance is just for health. I do believe that you can actually use that for dental and vision as well.
Very cool. So it sits on the medical side because prescription still sits to the side for everything under these plans. Well, Frank, we really thank you for being in here this morning. We'll be seeing you once a week now during open enrollment.
Excellent. And there was a couple of other things that I wanted to mention real quick.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please give the people more.
So we have the webinar scheduled. I just wanted to make sure to mention that the webinar is scheduled for, I believe, October 17th at 11 a.m.
Gotcha. October 17th at 11 a.m. So if you would like to get on the list for our webinar where we will have some more plan specifics available for you, please go to our website, jblfinancial.com, click on the Contact Us section, and you can just type in Medicare webinar, and we will make sure to get you that link, get you the date in advance so you can mark your calendar, and then we'll send you that link a day before the event.
And then the next thing I want to mention is the first 2 weeks of open enrollment. As you said, the schedule is looking packed. So from October 1st through October 14th, this is going to be a chance for people to come in early and get a first look on all these new changes for 2024. And then starting October 15th, once open enrollment actually begins, that's whenever we'll change your plan, if we need to change your plan from October 1st through October 14th.
That's a great point that you make. So in many cases, we're able to be a one-stop shop. If you sat down with Frank, you made your decision, he can help you with the application right there. Unfortunately, during open enrollment, this is what they call the preview, which is October 1st through October 14th. That gives you the chance to look at the new plans with Frank so he can do a true comparison for you. But we can't do any paperwork, electronic or, wet signature until October 15th. But Frank administers all that for you. So if you come in and see him in the next 2 weeks and you've
made a mutual decision, you want to make a change to your plan, he's going to make a note of that. You'll discuss how you'll actually sign the app if you prefer paper or electronic or phone, and Frank will make sure that it gets taken care of by December 7th for you.
Absolutely. Well, very good. Well, thank you all, and I'll be looking forward to helping everyone out during open enrollment, and we'll have fun doing it.
Thank you, Frank. And with that, I think let's take our last break of the hour. And when we come back, we'll still be here to answer your questions at 314-931-5877 or from the text line at 84126. We'll be right back.
Now is when Coventry turns confusion into clarity. Coventry Health got a simple approach to care. By listening to their members, Coventry can make plans that work harder for you and your budget. The result? They offer great service and clear costs. If you're looking for a plan that's more about you, give them a call at 1-855-338-9551, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's 1-855-338-9551. Now is the time to call Coventry Healthcare.
Hey, it's John Carney, and I don't want to scare you, and we're still a little way away from Christmas and all. But, that time of year, Santa comes rolling over to the house, lands on the chimney, and comes down with lots of gifts. Of course, if he lands on your chimney and he falls through the roof, I bet he's not going to leave you anything except for a card of his attorney. So it might be a good idea. Make sure your roof's in tip-top shape. And if it's not about Santa, it's about everything that's under that roof. You, your family, your stuff. You know what? Allen Roofing's been taking care of all of those things, probably even for Santa as well. I don't know if they go to the North Pole. But they go lots of places, including your neighborhood. Make sure your roof is safe and sound, and your people as well. Siding, tuck pointing, everything outside, they will do your homework. Find them online at aroofing.net. Ho, ho, ho.
Now is when a small change can make a big difference. If you're not happy with your current Medicare coverage, take a look at Coventry Healthcare. They have a wide range of plans with great service and clear costs, including medical and drug coverage in one simple plan. Just call 1-855-338-9551, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. That's 1-855-338-9551. Now's the time to call Coventry Healthcare.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, it's 10:46 here in the Big 550 KTRS. We've got about 10 minutes left in the show. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Let's clean up some of those text messages we have.
And we've got a bunch. And our next texter writes, what is non-Medicare covered prescription eyewear?
Non-Medicare covered prescription eyewear, unless you have diabetes or another degenerative eye disease, in your glasses. So Medicare doesn't cover what they would consider, maintenance eyewear. So that is why many of the Medicare Advantage plans for years and will continue to have an eyewear allowance that will, you can get prescription glasses, prescription sunglasses, updates to your frames, those kind of things.
Very, very cool. And our next texter writes, can the payment card be used for physical therapy copays? Great question.
According to Frank, yes, they can be. So it's going to be everything that is medically related, just not your prescriptions. So unfortunately, they're not going to lend money towards that. However, any copays related to doctor's visits, physical therapy, outpatient services, anything that has a copay associated with it that's not prescriptions, that's also going to be different than co-insurance, which we'll have to get. It doesn't sound like co-insurance, which is a percentage of, you pay a percentage. For example, durable medical equipment is one that usually has that. So if you're a diabetic that has testing supplies and you're paying for some of those, this copay card is not going to cover that because usually that is covered by a percentage of the cost under the plan.
I'm sure that you'll be having some more specifics about what's in and what's out once we're allowed to talk about those in the coming weeks.
And our next texter writes, so guys, if someone was almost on disability before 65, is it even possible or advantageous to get disability at, say, 69? Thank you.
So I would say that it's advantageous to apply for disability if you are under your normal retirement age. So most likely if you are just under 65, 66 and 9 months or 67 is going to be your normal retirement age. What happens on disability is they automatically give you your normal retirement age Social Security benefit, and then that also starts the clock for some people to have access to Medicare after 24 months. If you're just under 65, you're just short of Medicare eligibility, and if you are rapidly approaching your normal retirement age, that you may not, there's no necessarily, they won't even let you apply for your disability benefit. You're just going to take your Social Security income.
And I think, and I'm sure you're going to add that once you reach your normal retirement age for Social Security income, your benefit seamlessly just becomes SSI, where it was SSDI before.
Right, so if you're someone that's already on disability benefits, let's say that you started in your 50s, once you get to your normal retirement age, you don't have to do anything for that transition to occur. And that also brings up another good point, which is if you applied for your disability, if you were on disability long enough to acquire Medicare through disability over 24 months, then when you get to 65, you actually get another election period into Medicare again to do it over if you wanted to pick a supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan as if the original election into Medicare hadn't happened. So you get some extra options.
You know a lot of stuff.
So do you.
Thank you.
And our next texter writes, I wish they'd call it something besides a donut hole because now donut holes are edible and it makes me hungry. Yes, sir. The struggle is real.
It makes your wallet hungry, too, when you end up in that donut hole. It's expensive.
Well, it sounds
Nobody liked that joke?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
And we have another texter, and I'm assuming he's talking about the payment card that you and Frank were discussing earlier, and his comment is, so it's very similar to a healthcare retirement account.
Well, I'm sure that I'm not allowed to compare it in this way. It's really not similar to a health care retirement account because in many of those cases, that money is yours, which means it's portable, which means you can never lose it. Right. Under these benefits, it is a use it or lose it per quarter situation.
So it's more like a cafeteria plan election. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Right, like a flexible spending account.
Right.
But also it's different in that you're not contributing to this. This is a benefit that's being provided to you by the insurance company. And I think it's just remarkable because it works in two ways. One, you are not taking money out of your own pocket to make these copays. But secondly, that money is still going towards your maximum out of pocket because I was all ready to be like, oh, but the catch, right, Frank? But there is no catch here, which is fantastic.
So just using the nice round number of $100, they give it to you 4 times a year. Now your max out of pocket went from $3,000 to $2,600.
Essentially, as long as you used with the caveat that every month you went from 100 to 0 each quarter, rather not every month, and you maximized 100% of those benefits.
Absolutely.
You know, it's so curious here because, and I hope our listeners realize this, because we try to talk about it all the time. Your Medicare coverage, your Medicare plan that you've been paying for, basically the Plan A part, then you basically elect Plan B. That's going to cover 80% of your health care costs, not including prescriptions.
Right.
What we're really talking about is filling that 20% gap and then obviously filling the prescription drug gap. Absolutely. So we're spending a lot of time in this, and I think what's kind of cool is that the base coverage of Medicare is so good, and should be good because you've been paying it for your entire working lifetime.
Right.
Is so good that you now have an opportunity to really make it as good as you can. And what's cool is that these Medicare Advantage plans are just closing this 20% corridor every year by reducing the maximum out-of-pocket costs, by adding other benefits that Medicare doesn't cover, and now by adding dollars that can be used to offset your direct costs that you're having. Just cool. It's good. And interestingly enough, I have, I got a text here. I kept my phone, honey, this week. I did.
Oh, somebody sent you a personal text?
Yes, they did. And they said, Jeff, we really appreciate you talking about this. We listen to other shows. Why aren't other people talking about this? Well, I have to tell you that I don't know. But I will tell you that the reason we do is that
being your retirement coach isn't just ending with investing your money. It really helps you in trying to put this whole thing together. And healthcare is really one of the, if you want to think of the pillars, there's really three pillars. There's healthcare, there's retirement income, and then there's estate planning. What happens if you have if you got a three-legged chair and you only have two legs on the chair, you're going to fall down. We want to do a complete job for you, so that's why we're going to keep talking about this every single week, dedicating time to it because it's something that we do every day.
And with that, we still have more questions.
Keep them coming, people.
Please do.
And our next texter writes, "Hey, Frank, I think you'll know who this is by the question I'm about to ask. Earlier this week, you talked to my wife about some shots that Aetna has not approved. Question, if she was under Medicare and had Part G supplement, would the same shots be rejected or would they have already been given to the patient?"
So Medicare Advantage plans cannot deny anything that Medicare itself would cover. The supplements are only going to cover what Medicare covers. So I'm sure that you are in an appeal process for the shots in question in order for Aetna to have covered them. You probably would have gone through the same appeals process with the supplemental plan. You might not have seen that happening because the paperwork can be a little bit more seamless with the supplement than with the Medicare Advantage plan. However, if your physician has prescribed it and they have the peer-to-peer with Medicare, most likely it's going to be covered for you. We had another text on deck here.
And our texter writes, "I was waiting for tomorrow's open enrollment since Cigna has left the Missouri market and has kicked me to the curb. What's wrong with Missouri that these insurance companies are packing up and leaving?"
So here's my opinion on the Cigna, and I don't have any insider information here. It's just that having watched the market over the last, the insurance market in Missouri and Illinois over the last 11 years or so, Cigna was never a major player in Medicare or in individual coverage in the St. Louis metro area. They did, over the last several years, especially with the advent of the Affordable Care Act, attempt to push into the individual market with some vigor, I'll say. And then they added a Medicare component to that. But unfortunately, the larger insurance companies in this area, in addition to the regional players like Essence, I think had more market share than Cigna was prepared for. So I think they're gracefully bowing out, not so much as there's a problem with the Missouri market. In fact, I would say that if you were exceptionally bored and wanted to compare like Medicare Advantage benefits across the country, Missouri has some of the best policies, some of the best premiums, even if we're looking at supplemental policies in the country, and Illinois for supplemental premiums about 20% less expensive than Missouri. So I think we're in a great spot, not only for benefits, but for options in terms of providers and options in terms of insurance providers. So although it's sad to see a competitor leave the market, I don't think that this particular market's going to be any worse for the wear. It's not as if we're down to one option. You still have hundreds.
And it's curious because I like to say that the marketing departments are the ones who make these decisions.
Sure.
And it's not unusual that we see companies wanting to become more competitive and take more market share because of their benefit increase. And we may see that possibly in the Medicare Advantage market at this particular moment in time as well. We've seen it in the health market. Aetna came and left the group health market for years. And now they're obviously, they become the number one carrier across the country. So if you love Cigna, don't hold your breath, but don't be surprised if they decide to come back with a fury.
And they certainly didn't leave for any. They weren't kicked out of the market or anything along those lines. It was a business decision. At least that's what I've heard.
Absolutely. And again, our phone lines are open. We got about a minute left. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Rob, I know that you were pointing to me because there was an email that we want to address, wasn't it?
I believe there was.
And I believe it was Stacy emailed us and said, I just started a new job. What should I do with my old 401k?
You have a couple options. If you have more than $5,000 in the 401k, they can't kick you out, so you can leave it there. You can have it moved to a self-directed IRA, or if your current employer has a 401k program, you can contact the custodian and see if you can import your old 401k into your new one.
Well, everyone, we got to run. We'll see if Rob can speak that fast next week at 7 a.m. Have a great weekend.